In this video, we're going to examine the 20 steps that you need to start a successful business and grow it from absolute scratch to eventual success. And this video may run a little long, but that's because it's a serious video, it's a comprehensive video, and by the end of it, you will have a much stronger understanding of what it's really going to take you and what the steps are. So you'll have a much better grounding. The information in this video comes from my experience of building a successful business, industry research, opinions from industry experts, and things like that. And I'll note where the tips are coming from as I get through them. And if there's any noteworthy people, I'll mention them as well that contribute the ideas to this video. So let's get started. First of all, you need to choose a business niche for yourself. This is the very idea of you need to focus in on something, right? And this is typically stuff that you should already have some background in, right? You should have some knowledge in or anything like that. Knowledge, experience, working experience, maybe your education, maybe a hobby. But you shouldn't go into a niche just because someone says like, oh, there's a lot of money in gambling, or there's a lot of money in travel, or there's a lot of money in cars. I mean, there's a lot of money in almost everything. But there's also a lot of competition and a lot of challenges. So it's always better to bring as much with you to the business as possible and choose a niche that is lucrative enough where you can compete. And there's many factors. And by the way, some of these concepts, they're big concepts I can't really cover. Like choosing a niche is, it's a big concept on its own. So check the description of this video. I'll have a ton of links to my additional free resources, sometimes additional paid resources that are premium, but they're generally affordably priced because I know it's for entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs tend to be broke, right? Especially when they're starting out. So I have a lot of free resources and some paid resources that I link to in the description of the video. And if you're watching on my website, I don't know, wherever I placed it, browse around. But there's a lot to get you going for free, and even better stuff paid. Anyway, so the reason I remember that is because I do have a course on actually how to choose your niche, and that's a paid course. But anyway, so as you're going through and you're choosing your niche, guess what? You can convince yourself of anything, right? You think something's a good idea, you can convince yourself that it's a great idea. So you gotta get general, good, unbiased feedback from people, and you can do that from your friends and family. Typically, the problem with that is that they don't really know the business, so you also have to get some industry expert opinion, and of course, from people who you think may be your potential clients. And you really should identify who your potential client is. Do not think like everyone will be your potential client, right? There's a certain type of person, certain type of consumer behavior that will be better suited for the kind of thing you are planning. And the better you approximate who your potential customer is, the better you'll be able to create a product for them, market to them, everything. And of course, before you start, items 3 and 4, you've got to create a business plan and a marketing plan. And I have 2 fantastic YouTube videos that are exactly on a very comprehensive business plan video and a very comprehensive marketing plan video. They're free. I'll link to them in the description of this video so you can maybe go next to them, because it's really important. And one of the very, very common mistakes first-time entrepreneurs make is that they just don't plan and they plow into the business. And so their business strategy is typically either non-existent, or whatever they're plowing into, they're going to meet some major problems head on. And typically that causes actually a lot of business failure, to be frank. And having a business plan and a marketing plan really helps you avoid meeting the big challenges head on, sidestepping them. Having an actual plan, an actual strategy, really invaluable. I strongly recommend it. When I was first starting, I didn't plan, I plowed into it, and guess what? It's not like the problems disappeared if I didn't look at them. They just came a little later, but when I wasn't really prepared to deal with them. So how do you deal with them? How do you actually plan well, and how do you a good business plan, how do you write a good marketing plan. If you're a first-time entrepreneur, you may just not really know how to plan. So item number 5 and 6, get educated. There's a lot of education online. I have a ton of it that I made. I'm not the only guy. A lot of other people create education. There's books, there's online courses, there's apps. Just me alone, I created a pretty, comprehensive YouTube channel on starting a business. There's a video that covers just about everything, and I have a ton of books, courses. Even I built mobile apps. I'll link to all that stuff in the description of this video so you can check it out. A lot of it is free, as I mentioned, but education, and a lot of education is free. I mean, nowadays it's easy. Before, education was harder to come by, it was more scarce. Now it's all over the place, right? So you really owe it to yourself to spend some time really getting educated, because a little bit of learning, of theory, of examples of others will help you prevent big mistakes later. It's invaluable. And even more invaluable is if you can have, in item number 6, good mentors or advisors to guide you, because sometimes you might have a good strategy you think, and then guess what? It's not really that great. And what happens is you might spend a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, thousands of dollars executing that strategy, and it's a wrong strategy. It didn't lead anywhere. You just wasted your time, and likely if you spent that amount of resources, time and money on this, that could lead to business failure. And guess what? A good business mentor or advisor can actually prevent such a mistake in like 5 minutes of conversation, because they'll be like, oh, that's just not the right thing to do, right? And how much would you pay to save you months of effort and thousands of dollars, right? It's invaluable. So you've got to surround yourself with really smart, good people. I actually provide some business coaching, not to make this a sales video, but you can also learn about this in the description of the video. And again, I'm not the only guy who does this. There's a lot of people who have done it. I, for my part, have helped over 1,000 people with their business on my apps, in one-on-one coaching, things like that. Anyway, so now we're getting to some more exciting parts, right? Before we're just basically were in the fundamental stages, but now let's say you got your business idea, you've vetted it, you got your feedback, you got a business plan, marketing plan. Okay, you've settled, you're ready to execute. You've got to register your business. Why? Because you need liability protection, right? In the United States, and this is legal advice, so I'm not a lawyer, I can't give you legal advice, and especially if you're in a different country. I'm in the United States. If you're in a different country, I don't know the law in your country. But in United States, if you do not register a business and somebody sues you, they're suing you for your own personal money, right? And you don't want that. So you want them to sue the business. So if the business goes bankrupt, at least you have your car, you have your house, you have any of your savings, everything, right? You're not risking your family's money, right? So that's why this is the number one reason to register a business. You get the liability protection. And again, I have a number of videos with a couple of with an accountant and lawyers that talk about how to register a business, what the correct business entity is, and things like that. And I'll link to those videos in the description of this video. Those things are free. So, okay, you've got your business registered. Guess what? Almost all entrepreneurs at one point or another ask about, they want to raise money, right? It's hard to start a business without raising money. I do have a really cool video with 15 ways to raise money. Again, I'll link to it in the description of the video so that you can get that information there. It's actually really cool. I took so many different sources of fundraising and I put them all into one video. I think you'll really enjoy it, and hopefully that actually will give you some ideas to raise money. Anyway, having said that, most entrepreneurs do struggle with raising money because guess what? Money does not grow on trees. It's hard to get. So bootstrapping is another strategy that you should think about executing. Bootstrapping is essentially, it just basically means executing your business with very low funds or almost no money. And it's actually how most people have to end up doing things. And it's not the preferred way because, like, it's hard. But at the end of the day, if you don't have investors, if you don't have debt, guess what? You are still your own boss. You retain 100% of your company. It gives you a lot of flexibility if you can pull it off. Okay, so you need money, and all entrepreneurs need money. After this video, check out the fundraising video as well. That video is free, so it's no problem. And next, I want to talk about your own productivity. How much can you accomplish, right? So far, maybe you're just one person. Maybe you have a business partner, who knows. And the same thing. So number 9 and 10 on this list, they're kind of the same in a way, because you want to, there's a ton of people and a ton of resources and a ton of tips to help you be more productive. Like multitasking versus being focused, all that. There's a ton of resources on that. I can't get into it. You can write a book on productivity. But let me give you the one productivity tip that actually works, okay? And that is, whenever you set aside time, set aside big chunks of time to sit down and work on your business, and only work on like one thing. That single focus will really help you. And guess what? If you have a lot of ideas, probably a lot of those ideas are not worth pursuing, right? Because a lot of them are experimental. You think something will work, maybe it won't. What you have to learn how to do and become very good at is to say no, and to know to which ideas to say no to, okay? And if you're new, if you're a first-time entrepreneur, this is where mentors are really good, because they'll be able to really quickly determine that's a wrong strategy, this is a right strategy, don't waste your time doing the wrong strategy. And if you just spend your time focused on doing mostly the right strategies, which really comes from experience of knowing which are the right ones, you will just save so much of your time, and it will make your productivity go through the roof, okay? That's my single tip. I mean, again, you can write a book on productivity. It's like, I can't, there's only so much I can say in this video about it. But essentially, that probably is the number one most effective, best tip. And it works unbelievably well for me personally. But there's also a lot of industry research around this. Anyway, and speaking of industry research, a lot of actually, sociological or whatever, I guess they'll call it science, but a lot of research does point that one of the single most important factors in determining whether your business will be a success or not lies not in your skills, not in the money you have, not in anything like that, but in whether you are able to form good habits. Let me really explain that to you, because it sounds like fluff, but it's super important. And here's why. So you've got to work on your business a lot every day. It's a business. You got to take it seriously. But to work on your business every day, imagine if you are forcing yourself to work on your business, right? There's only a certain amount of forcing yourself that you're going to be able to do, okay? And at one point, you'll maybe do it one day, another day, 1 week, another week, but the forcing yourself, you'll quit that, right? It requires a lot of effort, and you're tired, and you're busy, and you got 20 other things, right? And so it's the path to quitting. The path to keep going, right, is to actually make it a habit to work on your business. So imagine when let's say you're out or you're working and you come home, okay? I mean, if you have a full-time job, let's say you're working, you come home, what do? What is your habit? Do you go to the refrigerator? Do you go to the TV? Or do you go to work on your business? Or do you do other errands, and then when you have free time, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, what is your habit? Do you watch movies? Do you watch shows? Or are you productive? And studies show that people who change their habits or already have habits of working are the ones who are going to be successful, because essentially it's natural for them. It's a habit. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to force themselves. They just go there, right? And people who go to watch TV, they don't succeed. And the ones so basically, and the ones who go to work, they succeed over time because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You've got to work this year, next year, in 3 years, right? And so it's got to be a habit. And if you don't have this habit yet, form it. One of the ways to form this kind of habits is to, maybe rearrange your home furniture so that it's more easier for you to go to your desk to work and it's harder for you to get the TV. Another thing is to make to-do lists and kind of stick with them and get into the routine. There's a lot on building habits as well. It's a highly researched area, and it gets a lot of attention from more experienced entrepreneurs, and first-time entrepreneurs completely avoid this, but then later they realize, this was important. Now, at some point, so you've got your productivity, you've got your good habits. At some point, you've got to put together a team, right? And a team is, of course, you need some legal help, some accounting help, probably skills you don't already have, and somebody who will do, product building, promoting. I recommend learning as much of this as possible because in the beginning especially, you're going to need to have your hands in every part of your business. And as your business grows, hopefully, you'll be able to sort of like give those parts of the business to your team members. You can also have business partners or co-founders, but there is a lot of risk in that because the Y Combinator, there's a lot of research that comes from Y Combinator, which is really the #1 startup incubator in the world. And they're extremely respected, and they have a lot of data on teams, founding teams and partnering. They say unequivocally that you should only really partner with people with whom you've worked on successful projects before. If you've not worked with somebody before, be careful about making them a co-founder or partner because you probably have very different working habits, expectations. You might get into arguments. You just don't know. You've never worked with them before. So only work with people with whom you worked with before. And if you haven't, give people a kind of a test, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 months test before you invite them to be a full co-founder. Otherwise, you get if you don't, you'll invite a lot of risk to your business because guess what? If you give a person like 50% of your business, they're your co-founder, and the next day they decide, I don't care, I quit. Well, what happened? You just lost 50% of your business, right? It's not that simple and cut and dry, but it's an example of how things can go wrong. And then, of course, you've got your team. You've got to build your product or figure out how to deliver your service. And here, of course, I want to talk about Eric Ries. I probably should have mentioned him earlier. He's one of the most respected thought leaders in technology and maybe overall business today. And essentially, when you build a product, don't spend like a year building your product, right? What Eric Ries has is he's got this lean startup methodology, which essentially says build a minimum viable product that you can hand to potential customers. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to immediately give you their feedback. You can observe how they use it. You can have a conversation, and you can see what's wrong with the product, what's right with it, what they like, what they don't like, and change the product accordingly quickly. And guess what? Go right back to those same people, more new people, and get more feedback. And continue this cycle of small changes, small improvements, feedback over and over and over, and actually never stop that cycle. Continue to use it to improve your product all the time and always talk to your customers. But especially in the beginning, it's important because in the beginning, you're going to need to iterate that cycle more rapidly. As your product and business grows, you're going to have longer iteration cycles. But in the beginning, it's invaluable for you to quickly change the product, get feedback, change the product again, get feedback again. That loop will actually help you succeed, and not following that loop, bad idea, right? So right now, essentially, this is the industry standard of doing things. I wouldn't do it any other way almost, unless you're building some kind of a specialized product or service. Okay. Of course, you've got your product. Well, you've got to make money, right? And sometimes monetization is simple, it's cut and dry. You have a widget, you sell it, that's your revenue. Sometimes it's not that simple. I mean, if you look at my business, right, it's taken me a while to identify the good monetization strategies. I'll give you a couple of examples. So I first built these entrepreneur apps. They're the Problemio apps. And even inside the apps, I was really searching for how to monetize them, right? I tried, different, I didn't really do ads, but I kind of did more natural looking ads. I did affiliate marketing. I did consulting, upsell, all from inside the apps, right? Then I had in-app purchases. I sold other apps of mine. So I kind of kept on trying to see and experiment what will monetize, which of those will monetize better, right? And I've tried maybe 10 different strategies just inside my app. And then guess what? It doesn't even have to be inside the app, right? So I kind of moved over. I wrote a few books, right? That was a monetization strategy because the books sell and I make money. Then I started YouTube. Of course, YouTube makes a little bit of money. I did the courses. The courses make money, right? So it's a continual search of monetization strategies. And in general business theory, people will suggest different things on this. Here's my take. You can have as many monetization strategies as you want because you're kind of experimenting, right? But the whole purpose of your experimenting is to find the one that performs like 10 times better than the rest. That great one, right? And then once you find that one great monetization strategy, you have to build a lot of your business around that, to funnel people, to get people, to educate them, and to funnel them towards that monetization strategy. So whatever product sells well, double and triple down on it, right? Your mediocre revenue strategies, keep them. You've experimented, they may have worked okay and not so well. You can keep them, it's okay. But the goal, what you really got to do is find that one really great monetization strategy, and really press the gas on that, right? So in my case, I love Udemy, right? So I sell courses on Udemy and they do well, okay? So once I've discovered Udemy, for me it became an 80-20. Everything else I did, apps, books, YouTube, everything, blah, 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 and I did a ton of things. I only put like 20% of the effort there to kind of keep it afloat. But my main focus is on Udemy. I have like 60 plus courses and people love it. I have like 35,000 plus students. I don't know when you're going to be seeing this. Probably when you might see it, I'll have a lot more. But so I found success on Udemy, and guess what? 80% of my time I'm basically putting it on Udemy and focus. And that's essentially how I ended up growing my business. Now that led to success. But it came from experimentation and eventual focus on the winner. Of course, I also don't want to skip number 14, customer support. You gotta kind of love to give customer support because first of all, it makes you human. And as you start your business, if you're probably you're the CEO, you probably are going to be the one who's going to be doing customer support. And this is your chance really to learn about what problems there are in the business, right? This is a way to get a lot of feedback, but also it's a way to turn people into super fans. They come with a problem, they leave with triple the benefit, right? That's what you kind of, or immediate like fix. So, and then they're super fans, and then it's loyalty, and then loyalty is everything because you really want to make long-term customers, right? And it's the whole thing with monetization strategies, that the best thing is that if people don't just buy one thing from you, right? If the best thing is they buy something and come back and come back and come back and come back. This is why consumable products are great. That's why subscription products are great, because once people love you and they kind of come back to you, you can make thousands of % more from a single person than if you just sold them one thing and forget it. Okay, so, and again, I have a lot of resources on how to make people stick around and become long-term customers. And then, so we're kind of like, we started idea. We started with your niche, but now we're talking about things that you're gonna have to be doing as your business is chugging along. And so what happens is, you've got to, now you might have some small team, you got to make them happy, and you got to keep things organized. Right now, at some point, your role as the leader becomes less the experimenter and more the organizer and more the person who hands out things or at least plans things. Right, there's more operations happening, so you've got to do a lot more day-to-day, week-to-week planning. But as you keep going, so you've got to at the same time kind of focus on keeping that steady growth, not letting everything that you've built, not letting it like crumble, but also always focus on improving the product. And this comes from always talking to your customers, right? For example, Steve Blank is one of my favorite sort of business thought leaders. He's actually the teacher of Eric Ries, and he's a Stanford professor, business school professor, and I think he sold he made 3 companies go public, right? He's older now, but he's incredibly successful, and he's got this saying, get out of the building. Basically meaning get out of the building, go talk to your customers, because they'll be the ones who are going to tell you what's right, what's wrong, what they need, and that's how you're going to build your product in a way that is best for them. And you see this theme maybe happening all over again. You've got to talk to your customers. When you're getting feedback in the idea stage, when you're getting feedback in the product building stage, and all the time as you grow your business. This is like a continuous thing. You've got to find ways to get close and to talk to your customers as much as possible. It's like a priority. They'll always refresh in your mind what they really need, and they'll always kick out the assumptions that you will sometimes let creep in if you don't talk to them for long enough. I know this firsthand because I've helped over 1,000 people in my coaching practice and on my apps, and sometimes if I go a few days or a week without coaching anyone or something like that, I start to have my own ideas of what they need. And as soon as I talk to people, I realize, oh yeah, that they need that. They need this thing that we're talking to them about, and it wasn't what I thought they need. So I'm sometimes surprised of how quickly I forget exactly what the people need and start assuming things that I think that they need. A lot of times I'm right because I do have so much experience, but a lot of times I'm still wrong, right? So it's always, you gotta stay close to your customer. Always talk to them. And of course, number 17, as you keep growing, what you want to do is look to automate and optimize operations so you can decrease costs and increase your sales and marketing so that, of course, you can grow and make more money. Now, 18. I was wondering where to put 18 because in a way it should go far earlier in this video, right? Sales and marketing. Of course, you've got to sell your product. Same with 19, branding. It's part of your sales and marketing. How people perceive you. But I guess since I've already mentioned that you should have a marketing plan, I kind of ended up putting the actual sales and marketing item as number 18. So here's the thing, you really, just like experimenting with monetization, you're gonna have to experiment with sales and marketing. And by the way, to grow my business, I started out as a software engineer, and I still program and I still make tech things, but like my apps, I made them. But as soon as I made my first product, like my very first website, it was like a light went off, like, oh, now I'm a marketer, right? And I think right now, let's go have the same light go off in your mind, like now, hello, now you're a marketer, because you gotta sell your product, you gotta promote it. And if you're promoting on the web especially, guess what? You're competing against the whole world, and you've gotta be top notch. You gotta be great. Not good, great. And again, I have a ton of free videos on YouTube for how to promote in every which way. I'll link to them in the description of this video. Social media, like professional level social media, professional level search marketing. I also have really good courses on this. I'll link to them as well. But actually my videos should get you a pretty far way. It should get you going pretty well. So but you've got to focus on sales and marketing. And again, it's something you should try to learn, because if you outsource it in the beginning and you don't know what to outsource, you're going to be likely to make mistakes. So in my case, I suggest what I did for myself. I learned it. At first it was kind of confusing because I was a software engineer. I had no idea about sales and marketing, but it's kind of actually exciting when it's your own product and you're promoting it. In a way, there's nothing more exciting in business for me than to sell my product, because guess what? If I sell enough of it, I'm going to achieve all of my business goals. Don't you want that? That's why you're starting your business in the first place. So it's really the most direct path to achieve your business goal is to become great at marketing. So I strongly recommend it. Really, really, really recommend it. I mean, it worked for me so well. Anyway, number 20. You have to, as your business is chugging along, you got to ask yourself like an existential question, right? What do you want out of this business? I mean, you kind of should have asked this business like when you started. You should have asked that question when you started. But anyway, you should always kind of think about it. So what do you want from this business? Do you want just not to have a job and not to have a boss and be your own boss and have that freedom? Or do you want to just sell the business? Or do you want to make a certain amount of money? Or do you just want to have a good lifestyle where you maybe get to a point where you only work like 10 hours a week and maybe just enjoy the rest of your time? What's your goal, right? Because you got to get to that goal. You got to position eventually. You got this good business going. You got to put, but where are you taking it, right? Where are you steering this ship, right? And so I think this is something you got to think about strongly and kind of create a path to get there for you, so that you can be happy. Because ultimately, you put in all this hard work, you've got to achieve the goals that you have for yourself. It's got to be a tool. So the business is like really a tool for you to achieve the bigger goals in life that you want, right? That maybe a regular job, may not be able to do for you, right? Anyway, so you got to have that. And really, this is 20, and really, there's a bonus point, right? I know I said 20 points, but okay, 21. Just because I'm so nice. Just kidding. Don't forget to enjoy the whole thing, because in this video it might have sounded easy. In reality, it's never easy. Nothing is smooth. It's always like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You think something's gonna happen, it doesn't. Something bad always happens out of like left field you don't expect. Almost no matter how experienced you are, it's basically like it's like you're creating a sculpture, right? You're kind of molding it, maybe, and you're molding it and molding it. Maybe, it's up to you. This business didn't exist before you made it, right? So you're kind of making something new, and because of that, there's going to be a lot of trial and error, a lot of mistakes. Don't stress out. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's yours. It's your creative project at the end of the day. You're going to be stronger for it. I know definitely I've learned an incredible amount, and I'm stronger as a person. And I think if I can build a business, I can almost do anything else, because it was, from day one to success, it's quite a difficult journey. And if you can do it, if you can manage, and if you don't quit along the way, and if you make it through, oh boy, now you're much stronger than you started as an individual. Not just as a business person, of course that, but as a human being. I think you're a lot more wiser, a lot less things scare you, and you can just do a lot more things. So you kind of gave yourself maybe a different kind of a new education, a new I don't know how to really say it, but definitely you made yourself grow as an individual. Anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed this video and eventually your business. Again, I'll put a lot of free resources into the description of the video, some paid resources when I think it's like really good stuff that you might benefit from. But essentially, there will be enough for you for the free stuff to get you going. And of course, if you want my paid products, they're like extra good. And if you want my coaching, they're like extra good, because it's actually talking about your specific unique needs. That, if I make a product like a book or a course, I can talk about the general things, but I don't know what your unique situation is. So sometimes during a coaching call, I can really focus on your unique where you are in life, what you want to do, what kind of a business you're starting. So those are all options: free stuff, premium stuff, and of course premium is the coaching. Email me for that. Anyway, hopefully that was enjoyable. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my other videos.